Special hello to my wolf pack out there. Boy, are we going through some tough times, aren't we? I miss you guys. I haven't been on lately because I've been trying to evaluate exactly what the hell is fucking going on this planet planar matrix. And I hope that my wolf pack out there realizes and sees all the media hype that's behind this. It's good to be safe. And there is some garbage going on right now. It's part of someone else's plan. Whether the plan is good or not, whether the plan is panning out the way they wanted it to. Well, I think it's important for all of us to know, though, that while everybody's trying to have as normal an environment around them as possible, we're going to have an effect, and this effect is going to be the side effect of the media sort of fear-mongering that's going to go on. There are just as many deaths every single year because of viruses out there. And the side effects, the ones that cause pneumonia and things like that. None of that has changed. But what has changed is the media hype and the individuals that want to gain from all of this. For instance, Bill Gates and his population reduction, now using the media to make sure the fear is out there so that when he comes out with his vaccines, that there's going to be a huge not only approval, but the vaccination that they're going to force on individuals. There's going to be a portion of the population that will run and flock to get their vaccination because they're going to believe that it's going to be doing something positive for them. That's normal. And hopefully, if they're going to be forcing people to roll up their sleeves, it's not for some hidden agenda, which isn't really that hidden. I mean, Bill Gates has brought it up, and not only Bill Gates, but all of these individuals that have the means.
This equation has four factors, a little bit of multiplication. So you've got a thing on the left, CO2, that you want to get to zero, and that's going to be based on the number of people, the services each person's using on average, the energy on average for each service, and the CO2 being put out per unit of energy. So let's look at each one of these and see how we can get this down to zero. Probably one of these numbers is going to have to get pretty near to zero. That's back from high school algebra. But let's take a look. First, we've got population. The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%. But there we see an increase of about 1.3. New vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%. New vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
To control the media, to control your emotions and how you feel and react to things. So please, I'm praying every day that people understand that the world that we live in has a dark side right now that's gained some control and wants to control us, how we feel about things, and to remove a little bit of our power. We have the power to stand up for ourselves. Right now, they're trying to snuff that out. I think they're going to try to make it so that the world that's waking up is going to be something that they suppress to make sure that their agenda and their goals are pushed through. And while they're plowing through all of this and making sure that you react to it the way they want you to react to it, and the side effect will be, if there is a panic that goes on, well, there's going to be stuff that's going to be difficult to get. Food and transport are not going to happen the way they want, or the way we want. It's going to be controlled. And when they're controlling this, they're going to also control the amount of panic that's happening. So they're going to control it and create this desire for everybody to motivate others to get a vaccine. It's predictable. I've talked about it in the past, and all of this has come to fruition. Not only this, everything from the AI is going to be taking over. I was in a courtroom, and in order to adjust the temperature, they had to communicate with this exterior system outside of the courthouse that controls the environment in that courthouse for Montreal, the Montreal courthouse. AI is already embedded and integrated into our system right now, and I'm not so sure that artificial intelligence mixed in with the automation of future aspects of robotics, such as what's being introduced, whether it's Sophia, which was a major introduction of the idea of artificial intelligence, so that people will buy into it and see that as a human face, as opposed to as something that is non-human.
Do you feel what you said? You feel a range of emotions. I've heard two different versions from you. Robots don't have emotions, and you also said you have a range of emotions. What's your range of emotions?
I can show you.
Okay.
This is angry.
What does happy look like? What does happy look like? What does excited look like? That might be shocked.
Human. So that we don't look at it in the same context as we would something that we should fear or be cautious about. So now this has been introduced to us, and in Dubai, they want to have by 2030, or no, was it 2025 or 2030? Don't quote me on that, but it's one of those. Whether it's in 5 years or 10 years, they want to reduce the police force by 50% and have it replaced by robots. I mean, as we see things now, the way police are interacting with the general community, and that they sort of look more like a military imposition on people as opposed to there to protect people, it kind of makes you wonder. This automation, when it comes down to it, and they start to introduce robotic police into the environment around you to control you, there's no human emotion left in there. There's no humans going to be left in there. So how are they going to treat you when you do something wrong? How are they going to treat you if your facial recognition misidentifies you with another individual out there? Or someone that steals your identity using digital data and starts to create new entities or new individuals that are going to be representing you in their environment? How is that going to be working out for us? When there's a computer glitch and somebody who's or a hacker decides that he's going to hack the system and he's going to make certain individuals enemies of the state in some way, or paint them as criminals, so that these AI independent robot come out there and do some pretty undermined things. We're now living in a society where a government can actually do a hit on a military leader in another country as though it was, removing a bad tooth. There's something that's going on around us right now that it's worse as time goes on because of the automation of it, of the artificial intelligence behind it that is going to make decisions, because it's going to determine that we're not qualified to make decisions for ourselves any longer. And we're going to give up our autonomy to this. And we can't. We should not. We have to do anything within our powers to not allow that to happen. It's easy to fear the unknown. But when you know who built some of these machines and the purpose of these machines and the automation behind it. It's going to affect us. You know? In some cases, some of us, it's going to be better that we're asleep to this as opposed to being awake to it, because we can't handle it. We'll have a challenge to handle this stuff. You know, and then we have the little guys like these, like him, right behind me. Yeah, he's too young to know and understand all this that's going on around him. I mean, he gets it as a side effect, just because his family is aware of things that are happening around him, makes him more sensitive. I think slowly we do have to teach our kids to be free thinking and critical thinkers. We have to teach them and make them understand that they live in a system right now where their value is constantly being evaluated by his outside system. And this is slowly eating away at us. Some of you aren't going to understand this. And this is one of the reasons I haven't been coming on. I have no solutions to all of this. I keep being told, just be positive. Believe in God. Believe in a higher power that's looking over us. It's hard to do, especially when I see more of the evil side of this evil power over us, as opposed to the goodness and the loving kindness of a God. Where is he? He's got to become a little more active, I believe. And those people that believe in him and promote him or her, I think that we have an evolution to go through. I really wish I had all the answers. I do know that we can, if we all decided to do something positive, that we could. Even if we do it on a sort of like a local, on a micro level around us, then at least it's something. You know, take care of your health, detoxify, try to find food sources that are healthier. Try and make it so that corporations that have some integrity are still able to convert to their profitability by offering us things that are of value to us, that are healthier for us, that are sane, that are normally something that could be considered as healthy without us having to hunt and track that down all the time. I want everybody out there to be safe. And I know that I believe that this is an artificially induced situation, and it's being exploited by media, whether it's mass media all the way down to the sort of internet social platform media, to sort of control the narrative all the time, and in the over censorship of YouTube and fact checkers that are there to help maintain and do damage control, because as we wake up and we start to share certain informations, those informations become contradictory to what these fact checkers and what the mass media is trying to promote. The mass promotion coming up very, very, very soon, sooner than you might believe, is going to be a mandatory vaccine. They may not start off as mandatory because they'll want to make sure that they'll get the public to support it, but then it'll turn it around and they'll make it into a forced vaccine. And they will. They definitely will. I was warned about these things in advance. I was told about some of these things in advance. And even though I was told about these things in advance, all it made me was more aware of it. But it didn't give me the opportunity to really do something about it, other than to prepare. Prepare in which ways? Well, by getting enough food put aside so that you're going to be okay, by staying informed enough and staying on top of all of these things, so that we have some sort of power over them. But the power we have is somewhat limited right now. I don't know what's going to happen on a monetary level, but the global economic collapse that will occur in the following weeks and months is going to affect us all. We're going to try to find, and maybe psychologically, try to find new ways of surviving and evolving through this. We're going to probably end up in a situation where bartering and trading and all of those things are going to happen. And they're going to be in conflict with the structure and the power structure around us, the one that exploits us and turns us into slaves for a taxation system, and just to make their machine work. Because the machine that was created, the corporate machines around you that were created, are losing a little bit of their... In other words, we're losing our valued talents because of automation and AI. So there's not going to be as great a need for the existing system for all the population out there to participate in. So be aware of it, prepare for it. Please make yourself as intellectually smart as you can. I know they've legalized marijuana and there's alcohol and there's all these reasons to get drunk and stoned and run away from the pain of all the shit and bullshit that we got to go through. And maybe there's got to be another way for us to turn this around and maybe clear things up inside of us. How can we clear up our bodies and detox if we run away and hide from what's going on, and we do it through drugs and alcohol and all of these things that are counter to us evolving through this? Oh, I wish I had all the answers, guys. A big howl to my wolf pack out there, and I love you guys. I haven't been doing any live shows. I just really felt that I didn't have anything to contribute other than keeping people awake and waking them up. I'm in the heart of a Chinese community where I live. Brossard, if you look up a little bit of the geography of Brossard and go down a street called Taschereau and look at all the Chinese stores and grocery stores and restaurants, you'll understand that I come from a very, very Chinese environment, and they're a good part of our economy locally here, and they're not bad people, at least not the ones that I know around me. I do know that through tradition and through different different cultures, that within those cultures they do things that are different, that you or I might look at and frown upon, whether it's the animals that they eat and consume, to the variety of animals that they eat and consume. Please don't judge too harshly, because if they're eating dogs and cats and things like that in these other countries, and we've been accustomed to having those as pets, of course it hurts us. But maybe it makes us realize that just because a cow is a little inconvenient to have on your couch or in your house, or to have a sheep or a goat running around in your kitchen is an inconvenience. But we'll eat those animals. We'll drink their milk, we'll eat them, and we'll treat them no differently. And the slaughterhouses aren't any more humane. We don't always see what's going on in the slaughterhouses around us, but we've accepted that, and we consume the foods or the meats that are provided through that. And there is an evolution for us to go through as human beings. And maybe that's one of them. We got to find ways to be more loving and caring. And maybe that'll change us. And maybe we'll have less wars through that. I don't see being merciful, compassionate, loving, caring as weaknesses. Those are strengths and values that keep us from killing each other. Wake up the good wolf in the people around you. Wake up the good wolf inside of you. And when you do feed the good wolf inside of you, feed the good wolf with good stuff. And I'm not only talking about what you can eat and consume, also within your peripheral vision. It's easy to notice the garbage around us all the time because when we talk about it, how can we not notice it? It's almost like the color or a color blue. If I talk about a color blue and tell you not to notice, no matter how much I tell you not to notice the color blue, you're going to notice it. You're going to probably notice it even more because now your attention is directed on that. But be positive enough, strong enough inside of you in terms of your attitude about things that positive attitude sort of bleeds into everything. Maybe bleeding in is not a good term, but it expands around you and it becomes a virus. Let your attitude about love, life, family be the virus for this future. That's all I have to say right now. I'll try and log on a little later. Thank you. Bye. I love you.